Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Mel Moyer.
Hello.
Today, Mel and I will be discussing the latest Pixar film, The Good Dinosaur. Mel and I have went over several other Pixar films on the podcast. You can check those out at overlyanimated.com. Probably search the tag Pixar. We've probably done over about half of them at this point, and this is Pixar's latest release, even though it's been a couple of months since it came out. We are going to get into The Good Dinosaur. Spoilers for the film. We're not going to really do like a spoiler-free section because like there's nothing really to spoil, so
Who cares?
we'll be like light, I guess, on spoilers in our initial thoughts, but you know, it really doesn't matter that much. Yeah, let's get into Good Dinosaur. I don't know what the first thing to talk about. I guess what's your general overview on this movie? There's definitely like a perception among like the reviews and stuff. But what did you think when you saw it?
I felt like it's something that I think would have done better as some kind of TV series or like animated shorts, because it felt just overall like a bunch of dinosaur vignettes. It was like, here's, you know, the T-Rexes and here's the pterodactyls and here's the velociraptors. Like it didn't feel like it had like the cohesive narrative or journey that you get in something like Inside Out or Toy Story, or Brave, or really any of the other Pixar movies. Like it just, I don't want to say it felt pointless because, you know, it's still Pixar, but it certainly in comparison to a lot of the others, it did not feel nearly as strong.
So okay, so like I definitely agree with you. It's like a series. It definitely seems like a series of vignettes, but I feel like that could be a good movie.
Yeah.
So like, but overall, like your mail on it. How did you? I feel like a lot of people I've seen have been like, it's okay, but then it's like kind of emotional at the end. Any emotional reactions to this film?
Yeah, I mean, it's always sad when I mean, I guess when the dad died, but like, it's always sad when you've got that situation where like two parties part at the end, like the two friends go their separate ways and have their like tearful, like, no, you belong with your people and I belong with my people type thing.
That's
Like
literally what it did. Yeah.
Fox and the Hound ish, but like way watered down in this situation. Um, which, you know, but even then it's still, you know, at least like, you know, an inkling of, well, oh, that's kind of sad, it's kind of melancholy, but I don't think any of it hit nearly as hard as um something like Fox and the Hound does, or other Pixar movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't super emotionally react to the end of this, or I guess in the beginning that much.
Mhm.
Here's my analog to this movie in Pixar films. It's like this is Up except without the first 10 minutes. Like it's
Dylan's a fan of the first 10 minutes of
well,
everything.
that's like very distinctive.
Yeah, no, it
It's
is.
like the backstory. It's like here we're just getting the journey that the old guy and the kid go on,
Mm,
and it's like except it's a kid dinosaur and a dog like human.
yeah,
So it's I don't know. None of it really comes together for me. I think this is probably one of the worst Pixar films.
yeah. Well, I haven't
It's
seen Cars, so.
yeah. I like Cars better than this. I will say that. Then again, I'm higher on Cars than most people. People were okay on Cars. Did
No,
okay.
people like the first Cars.
Cars 2 though, people did not like. I don't know whether this is better than Cars 2 or not. That's close. But I liked Cars 2. So I think this movie's like I guess good, right? Like I guess it's good.
Yeah.
But to me it's just like so nothing almost. Um I don't it's I didn't really connect to anything going on. I think that the premise is like it's like misused, I think.
Hmm.
And I also feel like they sell this movie on being about the like boy and his dog relationship between a dinosaur and a human. But it's like not even that. Like it's their like I guess their relationship is the most significant one in the film, but it's all also just there's also just a lot of other stuff going on that's not really connected.
And it's more like, it's not even like the relationship between them. It's like it's a human who acts like a dog. Like it's not like, okay, it's a boy and his dog. It's like it's this dinosaur boy followed around by something that acts like a dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the times it didn't have the feel of like a boy and his dog relationship. Like it felt like it was hinging on the fact that you would look at Spot and say, haha, he acts like a dog.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't get much out of Spot. I don't know. That character, that I don't think there's much depth there. I get here's an analog is like um trying to Shia LaBeouf and I don't know his character's name and the Bumblebee Transformer car in the first Transformer
Mm.
movie. That's what I feel like this relationship is. Um
Boy in his car.
yeah, that's that. I think apparently that's what Michael Bay was going for now. He's like a boy in his car, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's almost what this is. Um, let's talk about how the premise is used. I think there's a few areas of criticism to talk.
Yeah.
But so this premise, I guess, is I mean, is it clever? Is it not clever? It's like okay, if the dinosaurs are not extinct, then the dinosaurs take the place of the humans as the dominant species.
Yeah.
Um, I guess this is an okay premise, right?
I think it would have been interesting if they had gone farther with it. Like, okay, they're farmers or whatever, but like, it would have been nice to see like, if you're gonna go with that, then like, go for it. You know, like, be like, okay, what's dinosaur civilization look like? What
Yeah, dude.
what does
Yeah,
that mean if the
dude.
dinosaurs take over for the humans in terms of like the history of the Earth?
Dude, yes, they do nothing with this. That's so right. We never see any consequence of the dinosaurs being in charge,
Like,
except
literally,
for
it's just that the dinosaurs exist, and
there's
then there's a batch of people.
there's this one family, which is literally just them replacing humans,
Yeah.
and they do that for the first 30 minutes of the film. Okay, to be fair, they do like set up the concept. That's maybe one of the more interesting parts of the film is they like show the meteor missing. Like I forgot that that happened in the beginning, but
Yeah.
like I guess that's kind of interesting. But then it's just like we cut to this dinosaur
But that was even
family.
in the trailer. Like that wasn't even like a huge like they literally showed that in the trailer for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
So it wasn't
no.
even like
It
a
seemed like it was a part of the trailer like wouldn't be in the movie, right? But then it was
yeah.
in the movie. So here's my big complaint. Like one, you're right. They never do anything with this. It's like it's not that we need to meet the high council of dinosaur leaders, but like something, you know. Here's my big thing. It's like we have this family and that's at the heart of our of like the emotional backbone of our film and it's dinosaurs. But like this there's every aspect of human heteronormativity is displayed by this dinosaur family.
Gender roles
Gender
and
roles, family dynamics.
coding.
It's oh my goodness. Like I didn't think about this when I was watching, but that kind of pisses me off. Like that dinosaurs fall into the same gender roles that we do. That the son's entire emotional arc on this film is for him to toughen up for his father. I just like really hate that.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. Like we have two father figure dinosaurs, the actual father dinosaurs that are like both tough and like masculine, and even though they have like a soft side, which is why they're nice. They're just both like they just both fit this prototypical father role, and that's just besides being frustrating to me from like a social progressive perspective, it's just very boring.
Yeah.
It's just like even
Yeah,
if you,
no, I am very sick of seeing the tension, like the male on male tension in that way. Like it's not even like I guess it's a relationship dynamic, but it's such a tried like trope and motif where it's like the son has to toughen up for the dad and be the man of the house for the dad. And it's like it's not even that I'm not even saying it's bad, it's just boring at this point. Like it's been used up.
And like I guess that the movie would say that no, it's not toughen up. It's like get over your fears of the world. But like that's kind of the same thing, and that's like what they're. It's almost what they're presenting.
Yeah.
Like this father figure is not interesting to me at all because his entire role in the film is, it's like trying to encourage Arlo to you know you can do it, you can make your mark. We have to talk about that, the make your mark thing.
Yeah.
But it's you can contribute to the family and not be such a disappointment and
Disappointing dinosaur.
yeah, it's like it
What does
fresh
it mean to be a disappointing dinosaur? I don't know because
it's the same thing as being a human. That's what the show presents. Okay, we need to talk about making your mark now that I brought that up. Because,
okay.
like, this ends up being the framing device for the film almost. It's like the beginning, and it's like what Arlo's setting out to do, and then it represents his journey, and then he comes back, and then he makes his mark, I guess, because he survived. Like,
Yeah, he
that's.
didn't do much.
Yeah, like, I guess because you got adopted by some T Rexes, then you made your mark. That's how it works.
Yeah.
What do you think of this in this concept? I mean, I have some the similar problems with it that I had with the dinosaur family.
No, and it feels again like it's something where they're presenting it and just expecting you to accept it, I guess, because it's like, okay, your journey, it's like in every Pixar movie, you've got like the whole like similar thing to this. Like I can't think of it off the top of my head, like the zippy one liner for each movie. Where in Brave, it was like, I guess for her, it was like, oh, find my freedom and like all this other stuff.
Yeah, they did have that with Brave, but like that wasn't like
But
presented in
that
the
was,
movie
yeah,
like
that was
at
presented in the
every
movie. That
angle.
was a concept that made sense. This is just like, I feel like they picked something because nothing happened in this movie.
Yeah, well, yeah. This brings me to a larger point, but like, the make your mark thing, it's just like it's frustrating because again, dinosaur society is our society. They're prioritizing contributing to the family, like as having any value in your life, which is a concept I hate, and
Yeah.
like just all of that. It's nonsense and it's
You're
simplistic.
making your mark in a nuclear family setting, so
Yeah,
it's
which
like,
is it's like making your mark equals strive to conform to heteronormativity, basically.
yeah.
Um, and it's it's nonsense and it's uninteresting. So this, yeah. So you mentioned something that's like one of my bigger points of this film. I've been kind of sitting on this for like a week since I saw it, and I've been like, whoa, stewing on like what's going on here. And I feel like Good Dinosaur is Pixar trying to make an earlier Pixar film. And like they're doing everything they can. So they're here. Let's go through the stages of Pixar because I say that Good Dinosaur represents the very end of the first phase of Pixar. And at first we have a ton of original movies. I mean, we have a sequel in there, Toy Story 2, but like mostly we have original stuff up until the end of Up. And the first 10 movies, original, like magical, good narratives, like pioneering animation. Then we get into like their sequel phase where they seem to be unable to make an original story. And
Mhm.
when they do make an original story, it's not succeeding that well with Brave in there. And then we get to include we can include and then include Inside Out in there, I guess. But that also to a certain extent can fall into them trying to recapture past glory because like it's a good original concept unlike this movie, but Inside Out also reuses a typical narrative from Pixar to like
Yeah.
frame the movie. And Good Dinosaur is like we're going to force a concept that isn't that strong to begin with, and then we're just going to try to replicate these journey movies from like Up, and we have similar ones. I don't know, maybe Finding Nemo is another example. Of like grow as a person as you go through this journey and see different things. Finding Nemo is a good example of this. Um, and we're going to try to force the emotional moments. We're going to try to put them in the same places. And, we're going to, and we're going to try to like stick to the script as much as possible as past movies. So even though this is like an original concept, I feel like this very much is in line with why similar movies from Pixar of the past 10 years have not, or past 5 years have not succeeded. They're trying
Mhm.
too much to replicate past success instead of really truly exploring new narratives. Um, and I think that this is like what's really interesting about that is that this movie has one credited screenwriter, and it's also a woman. So I don't really understand how that we arrive at this point. Then again, we have like five people on the story credited. So I guess like I can't imagine that we only had one script. Like we must have gone through
Yeah, I
rewrites.
mean, it depends on who vies for what, but generally that means someone wrote a screenplay and then five people picked at it and edited it to their heart's content.
Yeah,
So
I assume
you
that's what
can
happened.
assume all six of them like were the writers for the screenplay.
There's just too much forced process in Pixar right now, and it's like losing the quote unquote magical touch of earlier films,
Mhm.
which were
Well, and I think it's a, I don't know to the extent to say it's aware of that, but it's literally relying on the fact that they have unique concepts because that's the thing now. Like people make jokes all the time, like Pixar is like, what if toys had emotions? What if emotions had
yeah
emotions? What if fish had emotions? And it's like the joke that Pixar comes up with these really kind of like out there scenarios to create characters, but I think that they're relying on that to get people in the seats and then get people through the movie. And I think evidence of that is like, as you said, in the past 5 or so years, it's been completely based on a formula, and you can pick apart every Pixar movie of that time period and figure out, okay, here's where the significant mentor figure dies. Here's where the height of emotion happens, and on and on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's like Inside Out has been like the one exception, I guess, since Upended, and even Up is a little formulaic, even though it had this original beginning. And I'm not as high on Inside Out as you, but at least it's like at
Mm.
least that movie seemed like they didn't start with the concept of the emotions. It seems like they're like, okay, we're going to use this to achieve larger points about like inner workings of the mind and stuff.
Yeah.
Like even if that's not true, maybe it's not.
Yeah,
At
and I
least it
mean
seems
it's
like
yeah,
that.
and it's not a perfect movie, but at least at least that had something to say in
Yeah.
like with reusing or rehashing the formula and the sort of journey story that they've been using. At least, a lot of people got something interesting out of it, whether they meant that or not.
Yeah, and like I'm sure they did mean a lot of the stuff that people got out of it and Inside Out. This movie, though, I feel like it's like what was the initial concept? It's like dinosaurs are in charge, and then oh, isn't that funny? There's a human where a dog would be, because they're not the dominant species anymore, and like that's the whole concept. It's like
Yeah.
they didn't plan on using this for any interesting um, narrative
No, I think
themes or
honestly what it was is they're like, okay, we haven't done a boy and a dog story. What's a, you know, weird way we could do that? And it's like, oh, what if it was like, and I imagine them throwing around these ideas where it's like a human and a this, a human and that. Like, oh, what if it's a human and a dinosaur? And it's like, okay, so here's our alternate timeline, but there's really nothing alternate about besides the fact that humans now look like dinosaurs. Like his
it's
name's
like
Henry.
yeah, it's the same thing, and also just most of the film is spent just doing random stuff. So it's like that couldn't have been part of the
That's another
concept.
thing I'd point out too is that they kind of like Henry and Arlo, and these are kind of like very white coated
Hmm,
dinosaurs. I mean, if you think Libby, like their names are very Anglo.
that's very interesting. Is there anyone?
I don't know. I'm trying
Um,
to look.
well, okay, the dad dinosaur is voiced by Jeffrey Wright, who's BT in Hunger
Hmm.
Games. So, but yeah, I do think. I mean, it's hard to separate like white coded from heteronormative norms, right? Like, I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of this goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
But it doesn't help.
it's just like non. It's like basically like majority rules, and it's like they kind of go together. It's like white heteronormative culture
This cast is very white, though.
as dinosaurs.
And it just continues for most of the dinosaurs they meet too, I guess. But yeah, it's like this. I don't know. So it's mostly just a road film, which like Finding Nemo is, and we haven't talked about Finding Nemo on the podcast yet. But
No,
I'm not sure why that film succeeds. To be fair, like it's
I
got
think it's honestly Dory. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's when it came out, it was unique, but like, I think that's all Ellen. Because when people talk about Finding Nemo, they're like quoting Dory.
I think that's true, but I also think like that film's just like very good start to finish, and it's a little like a Good Dinosaur is very much Finding Nemo. It's just
It's
it has a
funny.
longer beginning, but then it just goes on this journey to do something, and we meet a cast of wonky
It's
characters along the way.
Yeah, no, and it's like Finding Nemo through a filter. Because at least with Finding Nemo, it was very immersed in like the environment. Like they played around with whales and sharks and sunken ships and jellyfish
Yeah, the environment was definitely more
and
interesting.
yeah, and all sorts of things, and it directly like it affected the story. But here it's like again, they just did not go far enough with their environment or with their concept.
So it's like maybe you don't need this super strong literal narrative to have a successful Pixar film, because I'm not sure what Finding Nemo's narrative is. It's kind of all over
No,
the
it's
place.
just
But
it's a road movie, and
yeah, it's
it's
a road movie. So maybe the key is the characterization of Finding Nemo, where that film just I mean Dory obviously very strong. I don't know about Marlin, but
I think if you think about it, between the fish in the ocean and the fish in the tank, I think maybe that and Toy Story are the two top when it comes to the amount of characterized characters in a Pixar movie.
yeah, there's definitely a lot more legitimate characters. What do you think of? Let's talk about some of the people we meet in this film. Then that's a good
Uh,
segue to that. So well, okay. Let's talk about Arlo in a second. But I don't know. The one that stands out to me is the people they meet are the T Rex family,
mhm.
led by Sam Elliott, dad T Rex, who sounds exactly like Sam Elliott, and that was super distracting to me. Uh,
Which
yeah. So he's what I don't know. I thought they're and then there's Ramsey and Nash. I guess I didn't get much out of the three of them.
no, that was the first because I saw the sneak peek of the movie in Disneyland like 2 weeks or so before it came out, and that was the scene they showed, and that was the one where they get them to go in that herd with the pterodactyls, with all of them, or not the pterodactyls. I'm sorry, the raptors. And it was, I don't know. I mean, it was more, I guess, relied on dynamic and like interaction between them to be funny or to be memorable, but I didn't get much out of any of it.
Yeah, it's just I guess they're trying to. Maybe the concept is we're replicating the family dynamic from the beginning, but now Arlo's like grown and is accepted.
Yeah.
The son and daughter were not memorable. Sam Elliott T Rex was kind of memorable, but I have the same exact complaints about him that I have about the dad who dies.
Yeah. Well, his name's Butch, so
His name's literally Butch. Yeah. And it's like the twist is like, oh, he's this giant masculine T Rex, but he has a soft side, and it's like that's not socially subversive.
yeah, and you're playing that for the ironic effect.
It's
So
not.
it's like,
It's that's. I don't know if you think that that's like subversive, but the fact that he's just this masculine, just giant male figures is prescribing to the gender roles that you're trying
no,
to slightly subvert in a.
yeah, I hate when they play that stuff for irony and then pretend it's like some kind of like, because like it's like, okay, his name's Butch and all
Yeah.
this other stuff, but he's like hiding his sensitive side, so it's like not really all that progressive because it's played for a joke, it's played for humor. It's like it was like my one issue with Paranorman at the end when they played the because people like say like, oh, the spoiler, the older brother of the one character ends up being gay, but it's played as a joke. It's played as like a humorous thing. And I hate that because it's like so pseudo progressive and it's like such an easy way for people to say like, "Oh, we're progressive, we have this." But it's like, "No, look how you're presenting it." Like that's it's such a cop out way to pretend to be progressive with these things.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's just that that character, like not interesting because the like giant male who hides his emotions is already not an interesting character because he's not like portraying emotions, and then you have that like frustrating element on top of it. Um, our villains, I'm trying to even remember. Yeah, Wikipedia says that they're pterodactyls, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, the biggest thing I thought of them was like the hyenas from Lion King is what
Mm,
they seem like to me. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't have much to take away from the three of them.
Yeah.
Were there any like one of them seems like off kilter? Is there commentary on that? I'm not sure. I didn't think he was making any sort of points about that.
No, I think it was just I mean, that's the same thing with the hyenas. You've got two and then the one that's kind of like weird or I suppose
I feel
lack of
like
a
the
better
weirder was the
term.
leader, and this one was the.
Yeah.
I guess that's different.
Which I guess is okay, slightly
Yeah,
different than the hyenas in the Lion King, but
yeah. I don't know. I just they seemed like not good villains to me.
yeah.
Yeah. The one person that stands out to me that we see is this like rhino-looking dinosaur with all the like little animals on top of him,
Yeah.
who's in there
I
for
don't
like a hot second.
know what that's called.
Yeah. I thought that character was at least kind of interesting.
Oh, it's like a oh, it's that like stegosaurus, something like that.
So, yeah. Says Wikipedia, Stychosaurus. Yeah. I don't know. I
Okay.
thought that was at least like visually interesting, and I think they when I don't know that I feel like if you have like a bunch of that type of stuff, then that's like this is something that I feel like could be in Finding Nemo in like an interesting environment.
Yeah.
Just that it's like
Well,
a memorable character.
that's my other issue too is like because that stands out because the rest of these dinosaurs are very very cartoony looking, which you can like argue is okay. It's like the animation style, but there was nothing visually impressive about it.
Yeah. The movie was like pretty, but I don't know. Is just typical scenes, I guess. Were the villains pterodactyls or velociraptors? I'm seeing
They
both on
were
the Wikipedia page.
pterodactyls because the velociraptors show up when they're
It
like
was
in
like
that
separate
field.
villains.
Yeah, when
Okay.
the the T-Rex family sends them like into that field and they like pop up out of the like
Not sure if I
long
thought
grass.
those were the same people or not.
No. Pterodactyls fly, velociraptors like
Okay, they
run
weren't
you.
flying. Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. Okay, so those are all. I don't know. Are those most of the side characters? That's not
Yeah.
even that many, honestly. What do we think? So let's talk. Oh, we talked about the father. Any other members of the family interesting?
Uh there's a sister.
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
And that's about it.
Okay, let's talk Arlo and Spot. Arlo as a main character, because I feel like this is a big reason the film doesn't really succeed that much. It's because Arlo's like incredibly boring, and I don't care about him. Do you agree?
He's like the typical like boy coming of age thing, I feel like. Like it's like if you took Finding Nemo, I guess, and then made it from the point of view of Nemo instead of Marlin.
Is Arlo supposed to be like this relatable, interesting figure?
I'm
Because
sure they think that.
I was a young a young boy who probably was not
Minor,
that like
a young
competent
man.
or like masculine, and I don't really relate to Arlo, you know?
Well, that's the thing. It's like assuming you're that, but want to be competent and masculine.
Yeah, like I didn't want to strive to be like the father. Like not that's not yeah, that's a good point. Um and he's just such a one note character. It's like he doesn't know how the world works, and then he does, and he can, I guess, kind of do stuff now. And
Dinosaur stuff,
dinosaur stuff, which is just human stuff, but
which is just human stuff with
with
no
like
opposable
scales.
thumbs.
Yeah, did they have opposable thumbs? I don't know. Did they with like tiny T Rex
I'm gonna
arms?
call BS on this concept because opposable thumbs are the reason we became the dominant species.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't make any
So
sense.
if the asteroid didn't kill them, something else would have.
Well, I feel like it's
Unless they evolve.
the intelligence and then like the opposable thumb second, and like dinosaurs didn't have either. So I don't know. It's if dinosaurs developed human intelligence, they would not look like they did. That's the
Yeah, no, that's the thing
yeah.
is thumbs and gave us intelligence. It's a fluid sort of give and take.
Yeah,
That and we one day stood up on two legs. That was the other big thing.
that's true.
Dinosaurs don't do that either for the most part, so
I guess T Rex have.
they're not farming.
Yeah, them farming just is like, and then they're like using their giant bodies as like farm tools
Yeah,
instead of like actual.
actual farm tools.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't know about that. Okay, so what did Arlo? Any? I mean, is there anything to him?
No, I guess he's like kind of cute sometimes because he's like a baby dinosaur, but I don't know.
Is he Pixar's worst protagonist?
He's definitely the most boring. I mean, like when he falls in the river and stuff, and like I don't really have a reaction other than like, wow, that's sad that baby dinosaur fell in the fell in the river, clonked his head. But no, I mean, it's like yeah, I mean, you don't there's not enough there, and it's interesting if you look at it compared to something like Inside Out, where all those like mental characters in the head were pretty much one note characters because they were representing one emotion. Yet I found them more interesting than Arlo.
That's yeah. I agree with that. That's pretty scathing, but it's like anger is like just as well developed of a character as Arlo,
Yeah.
even though he's like on screen for 5 seconds. Yeah, it's true. I'm looking through the Pixar movie list, and there's most of these movies have like good main characters. Cars, I guess, has kind of a boring lead, um, and that's like it. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know how strong you thought as that thing we struck Marita is, but she's I don't know. She's at least like way more interesting than Arlo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a big problem. Spot is like not. I don't know. It's. I don't. What do we think of at least? Okay, at the very like he's the dog. But what do we think of him reuniting with the other humans at the end of the film?
I don't know. It was kind of melancholy when they had to part
They're
ways.
like, yeah, I feel like that they're playing this for like some huge emotional moment of like there's other humans and stuff. But was it because they're parting ways, or was it because Spot like found his people?
I I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
didn't
it's
react to it, so I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, like because the big what is it like the big emotional moment for their relationship comes when he chooses to save Spot instead of like running off home or whatever when his the like vision of his dad shows up. And it's like okay that's cool but I don't like it doesn't even have the impact of like a buddy comedy or something like that where you like watch two people become friends. Like I didn't even really feel that much going on there.
The only like element I guess of their thing is like a dual survival type of thing, like helping each other get through the journey. At the very least, the two of them make up the most developed dynamic on the film, which
Hmm.
there's not much competition, but like at the very least I knew that like I feel like there's some like substance to their relationship because there's a lot of stuff happening with them.
Yeah.
Even though it's not enough to like take up the majority of the. It's not enough to like be the most prominent thing about the film, and not enough to like develop actual emotional connection to them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's entirely environmental, which does work on occasion in situations where um like Toy Story, where which again is not something I'm big on, but like that has a more emotional like pull towards like Buzz and Woody becoming friends, like forced into that through like environmental factors, or like Inside Out with joy and happiness. Like there, it's like I couldn't like I'd have to think to put like to pick out places where like it differs and it's better, but overall it's just those are examples of like this sort of in like environmental factors affecting relationship where that works. Here it doesn't, and by the end I don't really like believe it all that much, but
Like neither of us very high on Toy Story. Go listen to our Toy Story review if you want to talk about that. But like,
yeah.
and I feel like Toy Story is actually kind of similarly narratively weak to this film, although there's a little bit more there. But like, I feel
And
like
it was the first time they did it, so it seemed like a big deal.
it did well. Yeah, that's that. But also, I think if you compare the narratives, I guess they have like some interesting locations. Like that movie has the Pizza Planet, which I feel like is more interesting than anything that happens here.
Yeah.
Um, but like somewhat similar narratives in terms of quality. I feel like the big difference is the characterization of its sidecast and especially Buzz and Woody, who I feel like are both. Even though Woody's like really annoying, he's like way more of an interesting character than Arlo.
Yeah.
And also, there's just this other side cast of toys who are more well characterized than any side characters here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think that's close to wrapping up things to talk about from this.
I also think too another element here is releasing two, like it was just a really bad decision, I guess, in terms of like the first year they decided to release two movies in the same year, because I think it kind of killed the concept, because you have Inside Out, which was like huge like critical reviews, like really well at the box office, and this is like barely broken its budget, and like
Yeah,
nobody's seen it.
that's the other thing to talk about. This is like the first failure for Pixar.
Yeah.
Apparently, this would need to get to like 500,000 to totally recoup costs, and
And it's at
it's not gonna get, yeah,
266
it's not gonna
million.
get close. So this is, I think that it's the first time Pixar's like completely failed,
Yeah.
box office wise. Which, like, from a critical perspective, who cares? Like, if they're gonna have good films, then doesn't matter if how much money they
Yeah.
make.
And
But
I
like,
don't
this is a big deal in terms of them making future films.
Yeah. And I don't think they need to release two a year. Like, and it's you have to wonder, okay, like was that part of the reason why this felt so underdeveloped and kind of watered down, because like they were splitting their forces up or splitting their energy between Inside Out and this, and it was like asymmetrical in terms of like effort, or does it just seem this that way because this movie just wasn't really cared about as much, like the promo for it wasn't as big, like it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, I wonder. So, like, I feel like that's one takeaway is that they did something wrong with releasing it. I hope what I would take away, though, and I don't have all the information that they do, is that regardless of quality, because we've had similarly bad quality films from, not, and it's not that I think it's bad, but like similarly mediocre films from Pixar, Cars too, is that I feel like this environment is that the film takes place in is completely not appealing to most, at least half of the typical audience that they have.
Yeah.
Like this, just this new Earth inhabited by dinosaurs, it just didn't have the mysticism that basically every single other one of um, their environments took place in, which is just really important for them because they're trying to draw, like kids in who might, and people who are like seeing short promos, kids who don't care as much about plot stuff and like want to be engaged. And so I think it's just very important for them to make more exciting movies,
Yeah.
and I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not convinced that they're doing that. So let's look at their upcoming slate. Next film is Finding Dory in next year, which I was very surprised is like getting released this soon. That got like pushed up. I hope
It
that
did get pushed up.
I
I
hope that that is not at the expense of quality. I mean, in
don't know.
interesting in
They
it,
released a tiny little teaser that looked pretty good.
yeah, it's like I don't know. If I saw a teaser for Finding Nemo though, I wouldn't be like, oh, this is gonna be good, you know?
The teaser for Finding Nemo, I remember it because it was just the shot of the ocean and that I forget the song. It was the song they used in the credits though, and then all it said was Finding Nemo. That was the teaser.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I don't know. We'll see on Finding and Finding Dory. Andrew Stanton, very good, so we can hope. But
it was basically an Ellen fan service because I think Ellen petitioned them so much, and then they made the movie like about her character.
I would hope that that's not the
Which I don't think is
process.
literally the case, but it
Yeah,
also I think like was I don't know. I mean, they were very much aware that Dory was like the breakout character from Finding Nemo. That
yeah.
much is sure.
It does make sense
But
to focus on your best character.
Ellen
So
has a countdown for when the movie comes out. There's no one more excited about
yeah,
it than Ellen.
definitely. But then in 2017, we're using a similar structure to this year. We have Cars 3 in June. And then in November, we have Coco, which apparently it's called now, which is this Dia de los Muertos film that
Oh,
they've
did
been
they?
talking about for forever, and they're finally going to release that one.
Yeah, they renamed it.
I have zero confidence that this movie will be,
I don't know. I'll be
but
interested to compare that to crap. Book of Life.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm not enthused by the concept, but like at least this is an original movie because we had Finding Dory, Cars 3, you have Coco, then you have Toy Story
this
4 and
what is it?
Incredibles 2.
2019 or something? Incredibles 2 is
Incredibles 2
2019.
2019. Yeah, so that's
Yes.
definitely hype. But
That and
like
Avengers. Good year.
that's Affinity Wars in
Yeah.
2019. Oh man,
Yeah.
gotta hope it's
Gonna
3
be a
years from
year.
now. Yeah, but just like one original film in the next 5 years for Pixar.
So
Let's
you've got another 3 years for the legacy of the Incredibles to be unscathed by sequels. So enjoy it.
yeah. No, like even if there's no way this is gonna be better than the first one, but
No, that's a movie that's considered one of the greatest superhero films of all
yeah, it's
time.
just yeah.
So
Uh, I have zero confidence that any of these movies are gonna be good. Honestly,
no, listen, I'm just waiting for Moana. I said that right.
Milana,
Milana. I don't need the
the Disney one from next year.
yeah.
The Hawaiian
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
The
I don't
yeah,
know.
with The
I don't know.
Rock
I
and
don't know how to pronounce it, but that does look
I'm trying to pronounce.
encouraging. Yeah.
And what's his face? Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing the music.
Yeah, very exciting. And like they actually cast
They
uh
actually cast
uh
people the
like
correct
yeah,
ethnic
correct.
background.
Yeah, correct heritages. Yeah. That's like the most exciting part. We'll see on that. But yeah, so I don't know. Future Pixar, I'm hoping that maybe like maybe Toy Story 4 is good and Incredibles 2 is
Oh my
good and then they
God.
have hopefully two original ones in 2020 and then we can get back on track here. Like Cars 3 will not be good. I guarantee you Cars 3 will not be good. But I guess the rest of these could be good.
What are they even going to do for Toy Story 4?
I
We've exhausted all possible. Like, they've escaped from the house and gone back. They've escaped from being kidnapped to someone else's house and gone
Well,
back.
you have to ask Rashida Jones.
They were almost thrown into a
Rashida,
trash furnace. Like, I don't.
yeah,
What's going on here?
Rashida Jones and her screenwriting partner
See,
writing.
that's what I'm saying. At
Toy
least
Story.
with. I didn't love Monsters University, but at least they did something interesting with it. In terms of a sequel
I
to
have no
Monsters
idea what
Inc.
the
by
concept
making it
of
prequel.
of Toy Story 4. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so not in conclusion, it's like The Good Dinosaur wasn't that great, and also I'm not super confident about where Pixar is going.
Yeah.
So that's not good. I don't know what the positive outlook is, but at least there's like an
Positive
interesting
outlook
movie
was
next year.
Inside Out was pretty okay.
And Inside Out was yeah. I mean, your mileage maybe. I need to rewatch Inside Out and reevaluate it. Like I need to do that.
Yeah.
It's yeah. We can
I
only
don't know. Maybe we should do Finding Nemo when you have time.
yeah. We should when you have time. We should do
You will, yeah.
both of us. Yeah. That should be one of our next ones. We also have Toy Story 2 to do, Bugs Life.
Bug's Life.
Monsters,
I'm like the only person on earth who really loves A Bug's Life.
I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it in forever. So
It came out the same year as Ants, which was really weird. I don't know what happened there.
yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah, that's
Someone stole something
some
from
interesting animation history there. Okay. Overall, I actually would not necessarily recommend seeing Good Dinosaur. I don't know. Like it's fine, and if you see it, that's fine. You're not gonna hate it, but like I don't.
You might be really bored.
You might be. Yeah, it was kind of boring, and it's only 90 minutes, so yeah. Okay, that's yeah. So there's our. Tell us what you think of Good Dinosaur. If you want to comment on YouTube, comment on the website, or send us Tumblr asks and let us know what you thought of the film.
Did anyone actually see it?
Did anyone actually see it? Yeah.
Start with that if you actually went to go see it.
Yeah, that would be the first thing to giving us your opinion on it. I'm Dylan Hysen, that's Mel Moyer. You can find out everything about this podcast, overlyanimated.com. That's where you can comment if you want to give us feedback, one of the places. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, and Rachel, aka Hannah, Fever, Mitch, Cordell, University, Beatrice Strange, Buzz Ike, your mailman, and Rachel Rose.
Wow.
Check next podcasts, potentially not until Sunday. Just a warning on that. But we'll see. We're checking out.
Oh, that's Steven. One day I'm going to actually watch Steven Universe.
You very much should. I would highly recommend.
I'm trying. I really am.
It is a short.
It's tough to get through those first.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to find a day and power through, but it is kind of a short binge. Like it's 10 hours.
Yeah, no, they're like really short episodes,
Yeah.
and everyone and their mother says it's like the greatest thing to ever happen to TV. So
I mean, that's my opinion. So the greatest thing to know, that's only slightly an exaggeration.
It's really good.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Oops.